Welcome in. It is day 152, and you're speaking with the Meeples Champion. And today, we're jumping back into a game we just discussed a few days ago. But this is going to be the follow-up game. It's another roll and write. That game is twice as clever. So, this is a follow-up to That's Pretty Clever, and the concept is basically the exact same. It's the 6 different colored dice. It's the idea of rolling them and picking where you want to use those dice. The only real change, of course, each color location is a little different than before. They have a new mechanic. But the big one is that there is now another spot on the board where instead of having a color die that goes specifically to it, it actually has all the dice represented, and you have to go in there and attack it by columns. It's an interesting setup because it gives you a backup spot for these colored dice to give you another way to use them. Sometimes you end up going all in on a yellow die and you wipe out its section, and then when you're rolling in the future, if you don't get exactly what you're looking for, the yellow die is useless now. Now there's an extra spot where those dice can come back into play. So it's nice to have that area. That being said, it's generally the same game. I want to jump right back in. Let's go over our 7 categories and see where this one lands. When it comes to that art, this is the same to me as the other. The box and the game aren't anything impressive. I'm not being pulled in by them. It was just on that top 100 list of the roll and writes, and I gave it a try, and I prefer its phone version to it, but wasn't pulled in by any means by this art. It's a thumbs down. Just like before, when it comes to these components, the dice are fine. They're made well. And while I would prefer to have it be a dry erase board, the paper's fine. Most of these games play this way. It's a thumbs up. So this is a German game. So when you're talking about its price, that availability starts with, I'm not finding this game regularly very often in the US stores. I am definitely not going to find this in a Target. I'm not going to find this in a Barnes & Noble. And probably I'm going to find it at most at a 2, but more realistically, 1 out of every 5 board game stores. It's just not that popular here. It's definitely available online. And I think if you were to go to stores in Germany, I wouldn't be shocked at all if you found this all over the place. It's ranked in the top 100 for the roll and write games, so it's obviously good. It's just the markets it's out there in. It's popular, but I don't think it's popular on an individual country basis outside of Germany and maybe the European area. Now, that being said, when it comes to the price, you can still get this online, and it's not that expensive. You're talking about like 12 bucks at most. It's not that much, maybe 15. It's not very expensive. It's okay price-wise. It's just a situation of, do you want to play this game and spend the money to do that? Well, I don't love it. I can't give it a thumbs down for that price. It's acceptable. So I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Your difficulty. So I think this game is okay. It's not something I would bring a kid into. I wouldn't be against a beginner trying out this type of game, but there are other ones I'd prefer them to come in than this. The experts, I don't think are going to love this, and the experienced players, I think, are going to be okay with it. So while I don't think it's difficult to learn, the question is it too difficult for those beginners, but not difficult enough for those experienced? It kind of falls into a weird area. I'm going to say overall, I'm going to give it a thumbs up because I think people can play this, but it's just one that in its category, there are other games I'd prefer. But just because I'd prefer it doesn't mean it would lose out for you if it's your only one. So, thumbs up. Replayability. The game is built on replayability. It's all about playing it multiple times in a row. You may not play this on a monthly or quarterly or even a weekly basis that often, but you'll play it when you do a bunch of times in a row. I'm going to give it the thumbs up. Keys to victory. As I said before, you have 6 different color die. You're going to be able to use these in a lot of ways when it comes to what you're choosing to use them on. Now, as you choose, you're going to start getting limited as you cross things off in a color. It's going to be less and less likely that color die is going to be helpful in the future. But it's up to you to decide when you're using certain things and how you're going to attack that board. Your early decisions are affecting what your later luck will be, because if you go all in on a color early, no matter what, you're going to now be a little bit more restricted in your options because you might lose a die or 2 dice for the most part later in the game. It's up to you to mitigate what your risk factor is, but there's definitely options here. It's a thumbs up. Unique. This is twice as clever because it's following up That's Pretty Clever, and they're basically the same game. And there's another one from these as well as so many other roll and writes that are just like these. It's not unique. It's a thumbs down. Overall, what do I think of this game? This game's fine. There's nothing wrong with the game. For me, it didn't hit as much as I would have liked it to, but I think it's more so that I just didn't have anybody who was around for easy activity to play this game with. Usually, if I'm at home and my wife and I play a game, we pick a bigger game. And I don't have friends or family that are that close that I can just pull a game out that's a 5-10 minute game and sit down and play it real quick. It has to be an event. And at those events, these aren't the games that get pulled out. And my Monday night crew, we're all about big games. So these smaller games never get pulled to those nights. So I don't think it's a bad game. It just didn't fit for me. But I think for those of you out there who are looking to either start a collection, who are interested in maybe getting your first roll and write, or are just looking for a short game, this will be fine. So I wouldn't make an effort to go out and buy it specifically, but feel free to buy it if you want, and definitely try it out if you have an opportunity, because I think it's a game that's worth some time. It's just may not be a huge hit for most of you. But that's just my opinion. It's up to you guys to make your own opinions and see where this one lands for you. Well, it has been day 152, and we've been talking about the game Twice as Clever. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.